Hey guys, MF West here, and today I'm going to be giving you my official Unholy Death Knight PvE guide. Now, a lot of people have been asking me for this guide, so I'm going to give it to you guys. And I was looking on YouTube, and there honestly was nothing about Unholy Death Knights right now. So people that want to learn the class and raid, it's a bit difficult to learn. So I'm going to give you guys my insight. I do PvE. I'm in quite a competitive raiding guild. I'm going to be entering the Emerald Nightmare raid as soon as it comes out in the next few days, and I'm going to be giving you guys feedback. And I do want to attract the PvE community as well. I want to actually hit Unholy Death Knights on PvE and PvP fronts. So yeah guys, I'm going to try and keep this guide as quick as possible. Not quick, but I want to keep it short. I want people to get bored and dragged on. I'll try and keep it in sections. And for those advanced Unholy Death Knights, if you just want to see specific things about the guide, all of the timestamps are in the description. First thing I want to touch base on is how the class actually feels. How are we competitively? And to be honest guys, it's quite strong. Last night I was able to do the Emerald Nightmare on normal. Unfortunately we couldn't do heroic. And I was topping we did 3 bosses, right? And out of the 3 bosses, I topped 2, which were single target bosses. The third fight, which is the tree, is fucking tough as a melee. Any melee that's watching this video is going to understand. It's a very tough fight as a melee, but I was pushing top 4. But anyway guys, the point is, we are extremely strong. Now before I made this video, if I was to judge this of Mythic dungeons, I was like topping meters in every Mythic dungeon. Only class that was beating me on a single target fight, even with ads, sometimes would be a really good fire mage, a very good outlaw rogue with a good roll of the bones, and yeah, that's about it. Like, we're competing against the top DPS, like pure DPS classes. And I don't know if you guys watch Baby Jace DK. He's also another very good, credible DK source. Shout out to him. He just posted a video of his kill on heroic Ursoc, and if you watch the video, he's a top 3 DPS on that fight. He's like a top, I think he's in the top 50p guild as well. So yeah, DKs are quite strong right now, guys. It really is not. If you're thinking, DK is not very good class, bottom of the meters, you guys are wrong. And I'm going to show you everything about DKs, and to those wondering, like, this is not going to be a boring guide. I'm going to try and keep you guys really into it. I'm going to keep you engaged, and at the end I'm actually going to show you clips of me in Mythic dungeons, just trying to explain the rotation to you guys so you guys can output the maximum amount of damage. I will get rating videos out as soon as possible. I just need to record those. Alright guys, first thing, talents. Guys, for talents, I'm going to give you like 3 separate builds pretty much, or 2. I'm going to give you guys, actually 3 separate builds, sorry. I'm going to give you guys a raiding single target build, a mythic dungeon build, mythic dungeon mythic plus, and an AoE fight, okay? Now, people are going to argue that I'm not picking the right talents, but guys, I've got the numbers to prove it, and many other high-end DKs are also picking these talents, okay? Alright, Orbital Serve is the first talent, guys, for single target raid bosses. For example, Emerald Nightmare, first boss, Ursoc, those are the ones I've done. For all those bosses, by the way, I've been pulling #1 DPS for single targets, so guys, it's definitely working. Why Orbital Serve? For example, there's a mechanic called Rot on the first boss, the dragon. You have to run out of the raid and you'll pop it and the green ship will spawn at the back of the room, for example. You're a lot of downtime there. That's 9 seconds that you have the dot on you. That's downtime. Bursting Swords can't really give you that DPS. The skeleton also actually scales off your critical strike, strength, and versatility. So the higher your gear, the better the skeleton. So I would recommend Bursting Swords for like a clear fight, guys, not a single target. Okay, guys. Next is Pestilent Pustules. Now, Pestilent Pustules is a lot of people complaining about being rune starved. Yeah, this is going to be your fixer, guys. For single target, this is the best talent. I'm never really rune starved. I never have any problems of runes not having runes. And I'm going to explain rune management after this, but further in the guide. But yeah, guys, Pestilent Pustules is very good. And you should always be monitoring your runes as well. Like, don't just go spam your runes and not pull your runic power correctly. Okay, next guys, Castigator. After the Mastery nerfs, Clawing Shadows build, the Mastery build is not working. Castigator is pulling ahead. If you're wondering why Castigator, it's because of the crit haste build, and I'm going to be going after the I'm going to be going over that after this. So guys, Castigator for single target. Dude, Sludge Belcher, that is an easy pick, guys. This guy does a lot of damage, and I'm talking like I actually would like to know the percent damage does in a boss fight. I actually have to record it, but guys, it's a lot of damage. I'm saying 30% plus, easy. Now for bosses, especially like well, all the bosses, having a larger anti-magic shield is really helpful. Corpse shield is a decent alternative, but unfortunately, if your pet does die because you take damage from the corpse shield and your pet dies, that is downtime. That is downtime. Your pet is not doing damage on the boss, and it's a DPS loss, guys. Lingering Apparition, it could come in handy for specific bosses, but I'm yet to use this talent, guys. Shadow Infusion, need I say more? Very good, guys. So when you're dumping your runic power, you're not just dumping death calls for any reason. Every death call is going towards decreasing the cooldown on your dark transformation. And guys, your ghoul, your abomination does so much more damage in dark transformation. And the last tier, Soul Reaper is the go-to choice, guys. Having this thing on a 45-second cooldown, I am having like my sustained damage. That is why we're so strong right now. Our sustained damage is so strong. Soul Reaper, and trust me, when you have about 20% haste with Soul Reaper, that's an extra 21, so you're on about 41% plus hero. Oh my god, guys, the haste. That's why as I'll talk about in the next few clips, haste is very important, but there is a soft cap, and I'm going to talk about that later. Now, the Defile, unfortunately, this is going to mix in with your Mastery, and Mastery was nerfed. There is no real pick for this, guys, right now. It's between Soul Reaper and Dark Arbiter. Now, Dark Arbiter, the only reason you would take Dark Arbiter is for a boss that takes a % increased amount of damage, like a burst phase where he's taking, for example, 200% increased damage. That is the only reason you would take Dark Arbiter. It's just Soul Reaper is so much more effective right now, guys. So yeah, those are your choices for a single target. Now for Mythic dungeons, I actually recommend picking up this build. I'm going to change it really quick. Yep, that's fine. Now all you're changing are basically Ibn Fever. Now guys, Mythic plus dungeons. Think about it. What are you doing most of the time? You're killing trash, right? Like 70% of the bloody dungeon is trash. So killing trash is very important. That's why a lot of people are taking Unholy Death Knights. Ibn Fever is going to kill those mobs. It's going to tick so much on the mobs, guys. Epidemic, need I say more, ridiculous amount of damage for mobs. And then everything else is the same. You have to actually be careful about pulling your, not using too many runes at once, but this build works very effective for that. Now for multi-dot fights, for example, that tree boss in Emerald Nightmare, with that Illinoth or something, yeah, that's the name of him. I'm actually running this build as well, and I've actually got myself in the top 3 DPS. Now for a melee to be top 3 on that fight, that is really good. Yeah, honestly guys, I tried out Pestle and Pustles, it's not really cutting it. Having Epidemic is really good. And you have Soul Reaper and Apocalypse for those burst phases, so with Lust, so it's not so bad, guys. I would really recommend picking this up for fights with 2 or more adds. If there's literally two targets on a boss, for example, I would recommend picking up Bursting Swords. Bursting Swords is quite good on a single target, and with an extra target, the cleave damage is pretty good, so that's what I would recommend, guys. If you have any questions about the build, let me know down in the comments below, I will answer them. Onwards to stat priority. Stat priority, the most important thing about your character pretty much. Stat priority is very important, guys, and it's changed a bit with the Castigator build, switching from the Clawing Shadows build. Because Mastery was nerfed, now Castigator is the main, the whole build, everything revolves around it. Now, Castigator, let me just read you guys the talent. It's basically when your Festering Strike crits, it's going to apply more Festering Wounds, for example. And when your Scourge Strike crits, it's going to burst additional wounds, okay? Now, if you've got a decent amount of crit, you're going to be bursting more wounds with your Scourge Strike. So you're actually getting a lot more critical strike, the more damage you're going to be doing naturally. You're going to be bursting more wounds. Now, guys, the most important thing is the soft haste cap. I have played around with haste, guys. I've played around with haste for a good month. And 20%, maybe pushing 21-22% is the maximum amount of haste you need in your build. When you get Soul Reaper, you're going to have 41 or 43% haste. That is ridiculous. That is like having Hero, guys. It is so much. Now on top of that, if you do get Hero, holy shit, guys, it's too much haste to handle. Anything more than 22% haste, you're going to be overlapping, you're going to be wasting the haste, you're not going to be able to dump your runic power fast enough. You know what I mean? So try and get to that cap. and then just pull into critical strike and mastery if need be. The more critical strike, guys, the more damage. And that's pretty much about it. I can show you my build actually. Look at most of my gear. I'm trying to get critical strike haste, and I'm pretty successful. And I'm quite picky with gear as well. Your weapon naturally has critical strike mastery, so the better relics you put into your weapon, the better item level of the weapon itself. Alright guys? Alright. Now for what some of you guys have been waiting for, the rotation. Okay guys, the rotation is it's a priority system. It's quite simple, but it can be quite complicated at some times, but it has very cool mechanics that you guys have to understand in order to maximize your DPS. I'm also going to be giving you guys tips on min-maxing DPS as well. Small little tips that will increase DPS by quite a lot. Alright guys, so first thing you need to do when you're on the boss is when the counter gets to around 4 seconds on the pool, you want to pop your Army of the Dead, okay? And then you want to outbreak. You want to pre-pot. Before you outbreak, you want to pre-pot, and then you want to get into the boss. Now this is the most important thing about the rotation, and I'm going to be doing it many times to show you guys. Unfortunately, Festering Strike cannot give us 4 wounds every time you use it. It's going to vary from 2 to about from 2 to 6. It can go up to even more. It's very RNG, guys, how your opening rotation begins. So for example, I'm going to hit this dummy. I just Festering Striked and I got 6 wounds in one hit, okay? So I got 6 wounds in one hit. So see, on a lot of times that I'm doing the bosses, I won't get 6. I'll get like 2. Then I'll use another one and I'll get 2. Now when you use your army, I'm going to show you guys. Look, it uses 3 of your runes. You outbreak the target, you have 2 runes left. Then you're going to want to Festering Strike. Festering Strike, you could only be on 6 wounds there, guys. So this is the big difference between a good Death Knight and a bad Death Knight. Unfortunately, if you're only getting 2 wounds on each Festering Strike, it is pretty shitty RNG, guys. But the bare minimum you want to be Soul Reaping and Apocalypsing is 6 wounds, okay? Any less, you're losing out on DPS. Now, if you have, for example, Festering Strike 3 times, guys, and you're only on 6 wounds, then I have to recommend Soul Reaping and Apocalypsing on 6 wounds. Because all that time that you're not using it is a DPS loss because you haven't got haste and you're just losing out on the cooldowns. Your cooldowns are not going to be on cooldown for the next time it's up. You're wasting time. But if you're very lucky, guys, you will Festering Strike the target once, you get 4, Festering Strike again, 4, there you go. You got 8 stacks in 2 Festering Strikes, which is what the rotation fits perfectly. Now, if it does happen to you, before you Soul Reaper Apocalypse, look at my runic power. Make sure you dump it with Death Coil, guys. And also, before you even Festering Strike, you should have transformed your pet, okay? Your pet should be Dark Transformationed. And after your Apocalypse and you get that huge haste buff, you want to pop your Gargoyle. Why? Because your Gargoyle will maximize his DPS the most out of the haste. The haste will affect your pets, including your Skeleton and your Abomination and the Gargoyle, guys. So let me just go through rotation again. You're going to Army of the Dead, you're going to pre-pot, you're going to Outbreak, you're going to transform your Ghoul, you're going to Festering Strike, and then try and get to as high amount of stacks as possible. 7, you're going to Soul Reaper, you're going to Apocalypse. Now guys, if you're at 7 stacks, right, don't bother wasting another Festering Strike trying to get 8 stacks. That there is an example of losing DPS. Rather just freaking Soul Reaper Apocalypse on 7 stacks. Trust me guys, that is going to be increasing DPS a lot, rather than waiting for runes, dumping runic power, and trying to get that 1 extra wound, guys. Not worth it. Please take my advice on that. Another thing, guys, if you're attacking the boss, okay, and basically you only want to be Scourge Striking when the boss has more than 3 stacks. Why? If you Festering Strike, guys, and the boss only has 1 wound, it's not worth actually Scourge Striking when the boss has 1 wound. You're going to be losing out. What happens if your Scourge Strike crits and you're only actually getting, well, you're only bursting 1 wound when you could be bursting 2 wounds? You know what I mean, guys? Alright, so that is very important for the rotation. 45 seconds you have to wait for your next window of Soul Reaper. And trust me, when a lot of raids, heroism at the end of the boss, try and time, if if your raid is popping heroism at a certain time in the raid, try and time your Soul Reaper with the heroism, because you're going to get a shit ton amount of haste, and no class that I've seen so far in the raid has actually equalized with me whilst I'm in this phase with Soul Reaper and heroism. It really is insane. Alright guys, next I'm going to be talking to you about the AoE rotation. AoE rotation is pretty much the same thing. You want to try and keep Outbreak on all the targets as much as possible, and Epidemic, using your Epidemic as much as possible as well, whilst not actually starving yourself from runes. Dumping runic power, because remember you still have the Shadow Infusion talent, which is going to decrease the cooldown on Dark Transformation and your runes as well. So that is the rotation. When I actually show you guys a video of the boss fights in Emerald Nightmare, you'll understand much better. I'm actually going to try and get those clips for you guys. And yeah, next I'm going to talk about pet management. Guys, for those that didn't know, our pets are a large portion of our overall damage in a mythic boss or a raid fight. And some important things to know about your pet is, obviously I've covered in the guide that Death Coiling with Shadow Infusion will decrease the cooldown on your Dark Transformation. But I just want to give you guys a small tip. You should have your hook on your pet not enabled, so you can actually enable it so he automatically does it. Turn that off and keybind it. When you're switching targets in raids, you actually want to use this hook. It has a 30-second cooldown, so if you're on like a secondary ad that's has quite a lot of heavy HP, an example would be that tree boss again. When you're switching from ads to ads, having this hook and getting your pet right to the target as soon as possible is little DPS things like that will increase your DPS by quite a lot in the overall scheme of things, but it's something that I see a lot of Death Knights not taking advantage of. They just randomly have it put on. Now, for example, when you're running at the boss, your pet's not going to be sitting next to the boss. He's going to be in line with you. So when you run into the boss, you want to make sure that you get him to hook over to the boss as soon as possible. Then he's DPSing the boss maybe even before you, which is DPS increase, isn't it? He's doing more damage for a longer period of time. So yeah guys, and also just remember, if he is transformed, the hook still works the same. It's the same mechanic, guys. Okay, just wanted to point that out for you guys. Okay guys, just like I promised, I'm going to show you guys some clips from Mythic Dungeons of me doing my burst rotation and a few fights till the end. Unfortunately here guys, I can't show you the full fight because of glitches, but I'm going to summon my army, I'm going to Outbreak, transform my pet, and get 2 Festering Strikes, and I get 7 wounds. I'm going to Soul Reaper, Apocalypse here, and then after you get that, use the haste buff from the Soul Reaper and the hero. You're going to get an incredible amount of haste, guys, and just start popping those wounds. I'm going to burst at around 450 maximum DPS there, before slowly going down. If this boss weren't to glitch, I think I would have finished on around 300k. And for those wondering, my item level in the video is 842. Right now my item level is obviously a lot higher, I'm 847, but for this item level, that's what the DPS that I'm doing. This is basically what the numbers you should be hitting. I think I was at around 19% haste, 24% crit with this gear, I'm not sure. But yeah guys, okay, on to the next clip. Alright guys, in this clip I just wanted to highlight what actually will affect your initial burst damage. A lot of people are asking. If your Apocalypse does crit, then you will get a heck of a lot more, your burst damage will be a lot higher. A lot of boss fights, sometimes my burst doesn't even go above 350k, just because of stuff not critting. Like watch this fight, it actually goes up to 470. And also when you get more stats, your ghouls are going to be hitting harder, your Army of the Dead also will hit harder. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this initial burst before she goes into a different phase. Just a quick clip. Right into the next clip guys, and I just want to show you guys a whole boss fight, because I've been showing you guys like kind of, segments of clips, and yeah, I'm going to show you guys my full DPS over boss fight. And by the way guys, for asking, those last 2 clips and this one have been mythics. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys it's not heroic, it's not getting like a damage increase. And yeah, here's the rotation again guys. I think I get pretty lucky with that Apocalypse. I was on 8 stacks I believe, I'm not sure, but there have been many times guys, due to RNG, that I've got one time, I think it was, I think a lot of the time, one time in 2 bosses in a row, I Festering Striked and it gave me 2 wounds 3 times. That was just horrible. You just gotta like look at the RNG gods and just be like, why? Why do you do this? But yeah, guys, it really is RNG, and unfortunately, there's not much we can do except get more crit. That's all we can do, is it, guys? Get more crit. And for actual raids, guys, you should be getting the food, the critical strike food. I think it's like, it's pretty expensive. It's like 3k an actual stack of 20 for that food, and then I don't even want to know how much pre-pots are. I think it's 1k for one pre-pot. It's ridiculous, guys. And yeah, so yeah, this guy's going down, and I think I'm going to finish the fight around 280, 300k DPS, I believe. Yeah, pretty straightforward boss fight, a pretty good patchworky kind of fight, just dodging shit. And yeah, that's the end of the clip, guys. On to the last clip of the video. Alright guys, last clip that I want to show you. I really hope I've given you like an idea of how Unholy Death Knights are as a class, and not a lot of guys on YouTube. Well, actually, unfortunately, I was looking. There are no Unholy DK guides out right now for the Emerald Nightmare, so it's one of the reasons why I made this. But a lot of guides don't actually include footage. They just kind of like show you the rotation of the dummies, and it's like, that's a dummy, it's stationary. I just want to give you guys an idea of like in actual raid combat. And here, I don't know if you guys noticed the start of the video, of this clip, sorry. My burst was really shit. I only Apocalypse on 6 stacks, and the Mage and Demon Hunter went way past my burst damage, but watch how well I sustained with Hero and Soul Reaper. There's no way that actually we're gonna keep up. Down he goes. Bam. And there you have it, guys. That is my Unholy Death Knight guide. And I just wanted to say a few things before the end of the video. I just want to tell you guys that I want to make this channel also PvE orientated as well, because I know everyone with the new kind of expansion does PvE as well, and I do PvE myself, so I don't want to have it entirely centered around PvP, although I do PvP quite a lot. Alright guys, so that is the end of the video. Please like and sub, it goes a freaking long way, and for those wondering, all the different segments of the video are in the description, the timestamps. And yeah guys, please play Unholy Death Knights, build that freaking Unholy Death Knight army, and peace out guys, have a good day.